So this, this car, looks very familiar to what I had, minus, we have, or I guess the addition would be the competition package. And so, notice what we're talking about with the really thin sidewalls that do extremely well. So mine had 19s. This comes with a competition package 20s, but basically same exterior spec to what I had. All right, so now we're in the RS, right? So here's what I was talking to you about. When you press the button, it's open, right? But it's only at idle. Otherwise it's, again, when I say only at idle, I'm exaggerating a bit, but it's really, there's not a huge difference when you're driving when they're open or closed. So a couple of things with this car, in settings, versus the M3, you have all these different settings, right? So you can do different throttle, different all kinds of different stuff. With this, we have suspension hard and soft, which I never ever use sport, even on a track. You could, but it's really pointless, and you have your traction control, which you never really need to mess with. This car will let you get it darn near sideways.
Yeah.
So with it, PDK Sport really doesn't do jack unless you're in auto mode, which of course I'm never using auto mode because that's for babies, right? So, and then this, one big difference in this car is, you're gonna lug it like you're almost feathering the clutch, See, like I'm giving throttle and we're not going anywhere. So the clutch, you almost have to manage it, right? Whereas, on your M3, it's more auto, where this is really truly, I call this truly automated manual. You have to manage it. Another thing that I'll do, like when I come to a stop, when I'm coasting to a stop, because it's so herky-jerky, I'll pull the paddles to bring it to a stop and then let go. Right, so I've trained myself. I don't even think about it anymore. It's just something that I do. So that I'm in second gear, I'm coming up to a stop, and then I'm gonna pull the paddles. There's less clicking and clanging and all of that stuff. Versus if we do the same thing here, and we let the car do it.
Yeah.
There's like crunching and crackling, and it's a little herkier, jerkier, and depending on where you're at and how fast you're going. And so I'll tend to downshift to third, maybe second, and then pull the paddles as I'm coming to a stop. But see the difference in shift speed?
Oh yeah.
Now it also depends on your throttle input, but there is a noticeable difference between this and your car. Now, I'm going to raise the front end up a little bit. I detect a little bit of understeer in comparison to what I had before, so I put it a little too low. I just wanted to see what it was like with Michelle. Gosh, that Raptor looks
looks
awesome.
good.
We don't have time for that, Michelle. We're making a video. Shoot, we're going to get behind this Civic. Are obviously going to be a little better in this, right? A little bit lighter car with 300 pounds. Wait, the M3 is 3,500, I think. This was 33 and change, so only, maybe 150 pounds difference. A huge difference. I mean, this is electric steering just like the M3, but the steering feel of this car is just, otherworldly. Yeah. Now the Ferrari, the 488 I drove, I will say has better turning, better steer. The steering feel is better. It's more direct. Some would say, like Jim was telling me, he's read a lot about people saying it's twitchy. I could see, people saying that. But this car doesn't do anything the best, but it's just the package, to me, is pretty darn perfect. Ah, he gets it. I like this. This just inspires you to drive a little bit stupider. Plus, it's my car, so stupider. I like that. sounds angry.
Yeah.
So again, PDK-S is just that next, again, progressive step, right? The progressive step and better. You know, I would say a DCT and a traditional PDK are, you know, pretty similar. The PDK is probably a little bit faster, but again, when you're at that, you know, the DCT on the M3 is more than adequate, and would be the best in the world, I think, if it wasn't for this. I guess you could throw Ferrari in there as well, but and for those of you who haven't watched videos on, you know, me talking about PDK versus PDK-S, the S version, the different PDK that's in this car versus the traditional 911, it is very different. You know, I can pull the paddles and rev the car.
And then as soon as you release, it's back into gear?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
So now, see, it's flashing. And then I'm back in gear. And it'll rev match you right back to where you need to be. It's pretty sweet. But you can see, I mean, as harsh as this car, you know, at least the old one used to say, well, you can never drive a GT3 every day. This one, I mean, the seats are snug. They're hard to get in and out of, but once you get in it, it's great. You know, we could ride this car for 5 hours. Now, and I've made it a lot louder, you know, because of this crazy, you know, catless exhaust that I have on the car, but I think it makes it suit the character of this thing, you know.
Absolutely.
It's shocking, though, like my bright blue GT3, you know, you'd get a look or two. This car, like, people are, like, stopping. Like, I was in my phone, doing something on my phone, and people, like, at Publix, at, you know, the grocery store, just driving up and sitting there, and I'm, like, looking, like, what the heck's going on? I think it's the wing and the, you know, the front fenders just inspires people to gawk at this thing. But you know, my other Porsches, I've been largely anonymous. Notice the carbon ceramics will squeak.
Yeah.
So there's the rev limiter. So your car won't do that; it'll shift for you.
Yeah.
It's not a cop, is it? You can just sit here at 8,000 RPMs and it just loves it's smoother there than it is at, you know, at 4,000 RPMs like a normal car, you know. Like you can just sit 6,000 to 8,000 RPMs all day. This is how I should have driven the cars in the mountains, but again, not my car. It's just not. The other problem with this is if you come through, like we'll do an out and back here, this causes so much noise that somebody's gonna call the cops. Your car, we just snuck through here like nobody even noticed. But listen to that.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
It's pretty much the coolest thing in the world.
Definitely hear this from a mile away.
I'm sure, yeah. But in here, you know, it's loud, but it's not. I mean, it's not super droney. That's what's so great about this exhaust.
Yeah, you don't hear it at all.
Yeah, I mean, with the new center section, the Black Series center section, I mean, we do get a little bit more drone than normal. But you know, on the 6th gear, 70 miles an hour, and you know, we could stomach this. Part of the reason for me, you know, selling my S2000, selling the GT350, other than just the pressure of having to keep all those cars clean and manage all of that, is I just want to drive this.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm gonna stop caring about the miles and just drive it. You know, I just want to get in this thing all the time. So why don't I? You know,
How many miles you at now?
2,800.
2,800.
Yeah. So I put 2,000 on it since I got it, which is not a lot. But I had, you know, I had three other cars, 4 including Michelle's. Now I have this and my Raptor. You know, I'll drive my Raptor quite a bit, and really out of necessity, I'm always moving stuff from garage to garage, or from wash bay to garage and stuff, so I can throw stuff in the bed of the truck. But yeah, I mean, I drove this all day yesterday, running errands, go to the grocery store. I mean, it's great. it's also 2.5 times the cost. I mean, you'd expect it to be better. But again, between this and a GT3, you know, really, you know, diminishing differences. You know, with a little bit better grip in the front end. Like if you were to drive this versus a GT3 that was set up the same, you know, you'd see minor differences. Power doesn't feel any different at all. In fact, my GT3, the way it was set up, now this one with redundant race headers and stuff should be faster, but my GT3 with the tune and the headers would pull on an RS. So speed is negligible. The cockpit is the same. You know, the steering wheel is different on the 2016s, but you know, the cockpit is the same. So as we're talking about progressing, you know, you get a R34 Golf, or actually maybe you start with a Jetta, and then you get an R34 Golf, and then you get an M3, and then you get a 911 Carrera S, and then you get a GT3, and then, in my opinion, you know, the ultimate would be the GT3 RS. That the progressive steps, you know, the RS isn't really necessary other than just the presence of it, you know. Or again, if you're a big track guy, obviously this is going to do better with better aero. Brakes are the same, a little bit more power, but you're not getting that extra power out of the car if you're a human driver in comparison to most guys, a race car driver. See, I'm always pulling the paddles. Here's launch control in this car. Sorry to the people that are here, but so all we do is brake to the floor. Oops.
Makes your heart skip a beat.
It's just fun.
Yeah. That's incredible.
People that live around here. I haven't done this in a while, so hopefully no one's home. Hopefully they're so yeah, I'm gonna come up a little bit in the front end. It's a little less planted than I'd like. Or it's planted, but I detect a little bit of understeer, which I don't like. And then I saw it rolling down the road. Michelle was driving it. We were going to a car show, and I was in the truck towing the S2000, and it's just I don't. It's a little too low. It looks great standing still, but I'd like it to be up a little bit higher. But yeah, there's. Part I was excited after being in the mountains this past week. This video will probably be up in a week or so, but I was excited to get back into this car, after driving all these other ones. And to me, there's no question this is the right car for me.
Even over the 488?
Oh yeah, no question. I'd love to have a 488, but again, I'd mentioned this in the video, or I mentioned in the podcast that I haven't put up yet. But the 488 is something I would want as if I had just infinite resources. If I had $25 million, I'd probably buy a 488.
Would you still want the RS?
But I'd still have this. Yeah. See, I'm a little less planted in the front end than I was, at a higher, a taller height in the front. But on a track, I'd probably be, the way that I have it set up would probably be better. A little more aggressive camber, lower center of gravity. But on the street, I think I need a little bit more suspension travel to make it feel a little better. It's part of the curse of, again, being discerning, always pursuing. And I never call it perfection. I don't think of myself as a perfectionist. I'm just pursuing excellence. I'm pursuing something that is
what could make it better?
Unattainable. Yeah. Could I make it better? Did I make it worse? Being okay with sometimes you make things worse, And can I make it better? You know, can I improve on it? And I think the answer is always. You know, even this car, like, you know, some people are purists and think that, well, Porsche has made the perfect car. Why are you messing with exhaust? Why are you messing with the suspension? You know, why are you jerking around with this stuff? I think you can always improve. You know. Now these don't require as many. You know, I mean, the only thing I did was mess with the factory suspension, put an exhaust on it, and a radar detector in it, tinted the windows. That's about it. You know, a bolster protector.
Yeah.
You know, your car, you could get silly with the amount of, you know, upgrades.
Turn the whole thing carbon fiber if you wanted to.
Yeah. This one kind of already is. You know, the whole front clip is carbon. What is it with roof racks? It's sneaking up on me here. And then, you know, I find myself in this car when I'm driving around town, shifting with the, you know, with the lever. Yours, I didn't feel inspired to do that. That, you know, do you ever find yourself shifting down here?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
You can, but so that's the GT3 RS.
This thing is incredible.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's cool. And then it's, you know, seating position in this car. There's nothing else like it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm familiar with it, but much as I love the M3, this, you know, for me, interiors don't really matter as long as it's not overbearing, as long as there isn't too much going on.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, just great. I just wish if they just offered the Burmester option audio in this thing, it would be amazing, perfect. Wish they would. So that's the RS.
This is
pretty sweet, huh?
Yeah.
Always courtesy rev.
Oh my gosh, this thing is unbelievable.
Even with the yellow seat belts.
Yeah.
Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor.